These are documents the Justice Department has had for at least well over a year, and they're only being released to Judicial Watch through a lawsuit and through, frankly, the court process. This shows you the crisis of law in terms of the rule of law that Washington, D.C. is facing, where the Justice Department has to be sued to follow the law, where the FBI has to be sued to follow the law. And here, the reason they weren't following the law is pretty clear, is because if they didn't want to admit, that's the conclusion I draw, that they were potentially obstructing justice through the Mueller investigation. So the good news here is that there is a measure of accountability thanks to Judicial Watch. And I don't know what the Justice Department is going to do, but they won't do anything for sure if there's no pressure to do it. And what do I mean by that? Meaning we got evidence that they otherwise wouldn't want us to see that increases public pressure to hold the guilty accountable. And without Judicial Watch doing that, we would not be, frankly, I don't think there'd be a Durham investigation. We probably still have the Mueller operation going on, harassing the president, victimizing him. So the 87 pages of documents documenting the destruction of evidence by the Mueller special counsel team, all accidental, of course, is available at our website. And the detail, again, is something that is just incredible to behold, because, as I said, it shows there's a pandemic of evidence destruction, all accidental, at the special counsel's office. So specifically related to the destruction of the records, 27 phones were reported wiped clean of all data, wiped prior to the review of data having taken place. 20 phones were reported wiped of data due to accidental wipe, as I say, usually from entering the password too many times. Two phones were reported wiped after being placed in airplane mode, from which they could not be unlocked because the passwords were supposedly forgotten. And that included the phones of Andrew Weissman and two deputies, as I said, two deputies of Mueller, Freeney and Rush Atkinson. One phone was wiped clean without explanation. That's the magic wipe that took place. And what's interesting is it doesn't look like Mueller's phone was reviewed at all, although the records aren't clear on that, so you never know. These are documents the Justice Department has had for at least well over a year, and they're only being released to Judicial Watch through a lawsuit and through, frankly, the court process. This shows you the crisis of law in terms of the rule of law that Washington, D.C. is facing, where the Justice Department has to be sued to follow the law, where the FBI has to be sued to follow the law. And here, the reason they weren't following the law is pretty clear, is because if they didn't want to admit, that's the conclusion I draw, that they were potentially obstructing justice through the Mueller investigation. So right now, there are three key reasons, well, I should say more than three, but there are three reasons to investigate Mueller, because there are obviously more than three. He may have lied to Congress about his conflict of interest as a result of being in consideration for the FBI job, whose opening which he was investigating. His team deleted all sorts of material from phones, 25 plus phones, accidentally. Destruction of evidence, potential obstruction of justice. Imagine you went into a corporation, if you're an FBI agent, and the leadership of the corporation, 25 phones amongst all of them were wiped clean of evidence. What would happen? There'd be a raid. And thirdly, they need to be investigated for the corruption related to General Flynn's prosecution, where they knowingly prosecuted someone despite evidence that he was completely innocent. So that's obstruction of justice and fraud and conspiracy as well. So I don't know what's happening with Durham in that regard. Is he doing any of that? As best I can tell, the position of the Justice Department is that, quote, no crimes took place in Flynn's prosecution. So we'll see how that works out. But you can bet that our friend Sidney Powell was upset about this. I was seeing that she was highlighting the reason early on why the IG and Justice Department should have been seizing all the phones over at the IG's at the special counsel's office once it became known that Strzok and Page's material had been deleted. And she was right. That's why we sued for the information. We knew something was up. This is what our request was. We knew something was up. All records related to the hardware, software, and contents of mobile phones issued to FBI officials Strzok and Page for their use while they served on the investigative team of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. All records of communication, whether on government or non-government email accounts, and whether using real names or aliases, we have to put that in there now. Thank you, Hillary. With FBI officials relating to the hardware, software, and contents of mobile phones issued to FBI officials Peter Strzok and Lisa Page for their use while they served on the investigative team of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. So as a result of this specific request, we've uncovered this motherlode of corruption at the Special Counsel's office. And so I think this is the last production of records. So unless we keep on fighting over records they withheld from us, and I'm not sure the legal legitimacy of that, so we'll figure that out in concert with our legal team. There's more to be done in terms of getting people to testify under oath. Don't you agree? And again, Judicial Watch doing more than Durham has to date in terms of public disclosure about what went on with Russiagate and Obamagate and the Mueller abuses, as much, if not more, than what Congress has done to date. And certainly the left-wing media is completely AWOL on this because they were co-conspirators in the effort to get Trump. They have zero interest in doing this type of work. So I'll let you know as things progress there, but who knows where this may lead. Who knows where this may lead.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.